It's an interesting story how Parker Schnabel got rich. It started with his grandpa, John Schnabel, looking for gold in the Klondike in the early 1900s. John worked hard through many problems and became a rich miner because of it. Parker started mining when he was only 5 years old after watching his grandpa do it. By the time he was 16, he was already in charge of his own claim and known as a mining genius. But how much money does Parker have now? You might be surprised by the answer. In other words, both the Schnabel story and the Klondike story began in the early 1900s. When John Schnabel was young, he packed his bags and went north to follow his dream of finding gold. It wasn't easy, that's for sure. You had a lot of problems and failed a lot in those early years. However, John was not built the same way. He didn't give up, learned the hard way, and in the end, he was successful. He became one of the most skilled miners in Klondike by working in the mines for many years. If you look at how much money John Schnabel had when he was older, it was all because he worked hard and didn't give up. The story of Schnabel wasn't over yet. Parker comes in. He is John's grandson. Parker always looked up to his grandfather and learned a lot about gold digging from him when he was a child. It was clear that Parker was good at digging even when he was a child. And let's just say that he was determined to make sure the family business did well. This love of gold began when the person was very young, much younger than you might think. Parker Schnabel's story in the gold game begins when he was only 5 years old. John, his grandfather, was a legendary miner who let little Parker go to the mines with the teams near Haines, Alaska. Parker was really into it, even though most kids his age are only interested in movies and Legos. Hearing the machines, seeing the dirt fly, and most of all, seeing real gold come out of the ground was pretty cool. For him, it was more like a prize hunt than a video game. Parker loved gold digging even more as he got older. He was already 10 years old when his grandfather watched him drive small drills and sort rocks for gold. Parker seemed to know where to find gold even better than some experienced miners that he knew. John chose to give Parker a real challenge when Parker turned 16. Parker was given a piece of his claim on lease, which meant that Parker was in charge of everything, including the bills and the money made. People were shocked that a 16-year-old was running a mine. Crazy. He wasn't scared though. He used his gold-finding magic to get a lot of gold out of the ground. He worked hard and put together a team of local miners. It seemed like everyone knew about this young mining genius. Parker Schnabel was soon being called a prodigy who would become famous like his grandfather. In 2012, Parker was already a Yukon boss who liked to get rich. With his smarts and cool new mining tricks, this guy was making a lot of money and leaving experienced prospectors in the dust. Reality TV shows were dying to make a show about, you got it, gold mining after seeing this young star. They gave Parker a crazy thought. Let a camera crew follow him around for Gold Rush, a new show on Discovery Channel. Parker, who was always good at business and maybe a little showy, saw this as a great chance to fly high and share his family's history with the world. Park said yes after a quick talk with Grandpa John, and Gold Rush was born. Parker became a star from the first show on. People loved how young he looked, how smart he was, and how hard he worked like it was nothing. Gold Rush took off, and Parker Schnabel became a well-known figure as one of the hottest young gold miners. He was famous, but that didn't slow him down at all. He put even more effort into his Porcupine Creek business, bringing in new people and tools that are bigger and stronger. Parker thought outside the box and came up with brilliant mine plans. He then broke his own gold record season after season. By his early 20s, he had already won over 3,000 ounces of gold in a single season. That is a lot of money. Parker built a huge business out of his TV fame and mining skills. He changed the rules for how to make money and get the most gold out of the ground. Parker went from being a promising rookie to an elite force thanks to Gold Rush and his own undeniable ability. He changed the way gold mining is done in general. The Schnabel family had a hard year in 2016, though. Our beloved Grandpa John died in these gold fields. He was 96 years old and had a life that most people can only dream of. Parker, on the other hand, didn't just lose a hero, he also lost his biggest fan. Parker's grandfather John had lived there since he was a child and taught him everything he knew, like how to read the land, lead a crew, and find that hard-to-catch gold. He made Parker stronger so that he could handle this crazy life as a miner. Parker stood alone for the first time now that Grandpa was gone. Even though it made him feel bad, Parker wouldn't give up because of the fire in his belly. He promised Grandpa John that he would keep the dream alive and make him happy. After putting Grandpa to rest, Parker took over digging for Schnabel. He made some very important plans, bigger digs, and more gold than ever. He even took over a lot of new claims in the Yukon, such as the famous Eureka Creek, which was said to be the best undeveloped land in the area. Parker was no longer just in charge of one mine, he was now a mining mogul. There are many claims spread out in the Yukon. It was a different story. He had to quickly become an adult, learn to make good plans, and figure out how to keep everything running smoothly. There was a lot of pressure because crews were working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, rents were piling up, and payroll was going through the roof. Parker had to think outside the box to get every bit of gold out of these claims. He looked at everything and found better ways to do things. Not everything was happy and bright, though. There were mistakes, like hiring the wrong people or having the wrong tools, that almost destroyed the whole business. Others in the race were waiting for Parker to trip and fall. But Parker, the kid who searched for gold with Grandpa John as a child, is determined. He fixed what went wrong, made his team better, and pushed himself even more. Grandpa John's spirit was with him through all of the hard times. The Schnabel tradition kept shining brighter than ever thanks to Parker's hard work. Parker knows what I mean. The Yukon should stay wild and beautiful. Parker knew he had to take responsibility even as his mind blew up. He was aware that he needed to be smart when mining. We need to keep this place beautiful for future us. Parker became a strong supporter of mining that doesn't hurt the environment. He spent a lot of money on high-tech gear to keep harmful chemicals from leaking out and separate screens to keep dirty water from getting into the rivers. After digging an area, Parker's team would clean up, get rid of trash, and plant native plants to make the area look good again. It did work, though. Animals started coming back to these places that had been cleaned up and loved their new homes, as well as Parker being a good guy. He used his fame to get the Yukon to have better rules about mining. He worked with the most powerful people to make rules that protect the environment and still let responsible miners do their jobs. He even helped younger workers learn how to make money without destroying the area. Parker pretty much set out on his own to show that it is possible to be successful in mining and care for the environment at the same time. He thought of new ways to get the most gold while hurting the place he loved the least. Parker had a vision that made it possible for the Yukon's wild beauty and its booming mining business to live together for many years to come. Parker Schnabel was already a millionaire by the time he was 25. You won't believe it, but a big part of that is because she was the star of Gold Rush. You know that show where they film him looking for gold in the Yukon? It sounds like he was making a cool $100,000 per show. That's about $2 million a year. But wait, that's not all that's in Parker's treasure box. When it comes to mining rights, Parker's family pretty much owns half of the Yukon. It's like having their own private gold mine. And they were crushing it with Parker in charge. They brought in a huge 3,500 ounces of gold one season. At the price we have now, that's almost $5 million. Think about it, that's enough gold to fill a bathtub. Parker's mines kept giving him a lot of gold every year, which added millions to his already huge bank account. There's more though. Parker became famous all over the world when she was in Gold Rush. There were marketing deals from big companies for everything from crazy mining gear to clothing brands. Parker was more than just the goldfield king in Yukon. He was famous on social media. Parker used his fame to put money into a lot of different things. He owned high-end cars for moving things around the mines, rented tools to grow his business, and even owned real estate. Add it all up. With money from TV shows, mining, partnerships, and smart investments, your net worth is around $10 million and rising. That's pretty good for someone who used to play in the dirt with his grandfather, right? Parker, on the other hand, doesn't act like some flashy millionaires you see online. He lives close to the action at his mine camps, where he has simple housing. His business is even more amazing because he puts most of his money back into it. But hey, everyone needs to treat themselves every once in a while. Parker has a great spot back in Alaska. A log house on 45 acres that looks like it came from a magazine. Imagine a large home with country charm and comfortable furniture that looks out over a beautiful mountain range. This is the best place to unwind after a long season. Also, don't bother with a dull shed. Parker has a toy store inside, he has top-of-the-line cars and ATVs, as well as everything else he needs to explore those mines in style. Parker doesn't just live in one house, though. He owns several pieces of real land. Parker seems to be building his own little empire. He has a commercial building in Haines, Alaska, where he can make extra money, and a holiday rental home in Yukon Territory. When we talk about countries, let's talk about his collection of cars. It's beautiful enough to make any car fan jealous. The Yukon land is no match for our Ford Raptor, which is the ultimate off-road beast. In the next place is the Mercedes G-Wagon. High-end comfort for rides that are better. Want to feel classic? Parker has a Jeep Wrangler, which is a real miner's vehicle. His tweaked Chevy Silverado is also pretty cool. This person really loves his cars. They're just the right amount of ready for action and high quality. They may also be able to handle a lot of mud without complaining. On top of that, he has a huge fleet of trucks and other heavy machinery that keep his mining business running smoothly. Parker likes to take his fancy fishing boat out for a ride or fly around the world on long, epic trips when he has some free time. There are a lot of options. The coolest part is now here. Parker is not only interested in himself, he looks after the people who helped him get here. His loyal crew sometimes gets to go on fancy trips. He gives them big bonuses for their hard work. One thing is for sure, Parker's kindness goes beyond his crew. He still remembers Alaska, where he came from. It's very important to him to give back to the places that helped him get here. A lot of the gold he makes each season goes to kids' sports, animal shelters, neighborhood charities, you name it. He even works with groups of soldiers. Alaska has very harsh winters. It's dark, long, and the light goes out sometimes. That might be hard for people who don't have the money for fancy machines. Parker does not mine for a living. Instead, he gives his time and effort to build affordable housing and bring goods to seniors and families who need them. Parker doesn't just feed and keep people warm, though he also invests in Alaska's future. He even set up a grant fund at the high school where he went to school. In Alaska, skills like mechanics and engineering are very important, so he wants to help other young people get ahead in those fields. He's basically helping other people and encouraging the next generation to follow their dreams, just like he did. Parker likes other things too, even though he's really good at finding gold. This guy is really into a lot of different things when he's not out in a mine. Several of the books he wrote about his family's mining past were big hits. Parker also loves to take trips. From the hot jungles of South America to the ruins of old cities in Europe, he's been everywhere. The guy loves to go on adventures. His home base is Alaska, where he fishes, hunts, or just hikes in the woods when he's not flying around the world. He loves being outside. Plus, he's really into history. He is really interested in old mining tools and other things. He keeps them like some people keep baseball cards. All of these hobbies help Parker relax and keep things in check, even when things get crazy at work. Holds him down and gets him ready to crush it again. Parker is almost 30 years old, but his desire for gold is stronger than ever. This guy isn't happy with just the Yukon. He desires a worldwide mining business. British Columbia is the next stop. The Northwest Territories are also on Parker's list of places to look for gem mines. He's also interested in South America, Australia, Africa, and pretty much any other place with shiny stuff underground. It's not just about getting more gold though. Parker and his team are coming up with crazy new ways to dig that are smarter, not harder. Robots, lasers, and everything else you'd expect from a sci-fi mine. To get that gold with as little damage to the earth as possible. It's a win-win situation. Parker is living his dream right now, but he's already thinking about what will happen next. What about Schnabel's work? Like her uncle, his sister Amelia seems to be very interested in mining. Parker has taught her the ropes because he wants this to be a family business for many years to come. Parker might take a break from his daily tasks one day, look at the bigger picture, and maybe even start some new adventures. Plus, you'll have more time to go on great trips and enjoy your hard-earned gold, right? That sounds like a great way to spend your retirement. After this, what does Parker do next? One thing is for sure. Parker Schnabel will be successful no matter what crazy adventure he picks next. Do you remember that little kid who learned from the stories about miners? He is now a famous person. Parker learned a lot from the old pros, then he made his own way and crushed it. Also, guess what? It's possible that the best is yet to come. This huge gold mine in Yukon isn't going to slow down anytime soon, right? Hold on tight, because Parker Schnabel's next story is going to be epic.